Welcome, Wanderers. I'm Steve.
I'm Laura.
And we've got some news for you. All the happenings that have been going on recently in the travel industry, we're going to let you in on that. We're going to talk about our trip to Vegas and our first flight on Frontier using the Go Wild Pass and how that went. It's interesting, mixed reviews. We'll let you know how that works. Here at Book, Pack, and Go, coming up next.
Meet Steve and Laura, the wandering empty nesters. This is Book, Pack, Go, your inside look at real adventures, smart travel tips, and how to wander better. One trip at a time. Let's go.
Okay, good day. Let's talk about the first update. Let's talk about Carnival Cruise Line doubling down, talking again about their loyalty program. They did away with the old, brought out the new. Totally points-based. Number of travels doesn't count. And the big part of it is all those lifetime things that they guaranteed if you achieved, gone. Doesn't start till next year. Very particular about pointing that out, that they gave themselves 12 months time to...
I feel like they're alienating the people that travel with them the most.
Absolutely. I think they're alienating everybody, but yeah, you wouldn't think you'd want to do the ones that would actually achieve the top tier. Yeah. Just to recap on that, so starting in June next year, if you have the second highest status, and I've forgotten the names of both of them already, second highest status, you get 2 years. Top status, we'll call it platinum, you get 6 years. And then every 2 years you have to re-qualify, I guess. Yeah, you have to re-qualify. Top tier looks like, so you get 3 points for every dollar spent. And in 2 years, to maintain the top status, you have to spend $33,000 on average every 2 years. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
If you travel Carnival, let me know why you would do that. I mean, I'm not saying that they've done a lot. You've heard me talk about...
No, but I feel like we're missing something.
I do feel like we're missing something. That's what I want to know. I feel like they've gone a long way to salvage their reputation. Give that over to Margaritaville as far as the Walmart of the Seas. But this feels like a reverse course. You know, it seems like they were trying to do something for their best people, trying to make the cruise experience better, less fighting, less massive partying, which probably, still some partying, but let's keep it, within reasons. But now they've seemed to have done something totally opposite. They have an interesting brand ambassador. I think he's a gentleman from the UK. His name is John. I believe it's Harold, Heald. John, if I mispronounce that, feel free to reach out. John's doing a fantastic job. I mean, when you just watch his videos, he's there on Facebook. People are just attacking him. And I mean, they're obviously upset. John's the messenger. He's carrying it from the upper levels down, which he calls the beards, which is an interesting name in British language. I guess maybe it has a particular meaning in British language, or maybe it's just him saying, maybe he's just saying they're old. So he's sharing the input that people give back to them. He's bringing back what they have to say. But people are attacking him personally, going after him, wishing him ill, wishing he would die, saying bad things about his family. He's actually had to ban a couple of people. That's just too much. I mean, I get it, but it's a loyalty status on Carnival Cruise Line or anything.
Well, people were mad. Well,
yeah, no, they're mad, but there has to be a limit.
They can't get to the other people.
And that's what it comes down to, right? It's always the person who's there in front of you. Even if it's misdirected. Give John kudos. I mean, if you want to see a master class, a TED Talk, and how to keep your cool, and maybe it's that famous British chillness, check him out on Facebook because it's really impressive to watch. But John did share a memo from the Beards, and it pretty much just restated the whole position. We're giving you 12 months. We wanted to see where this was going. And the only thing it said was interesting at the bottom that was found. I'll read it to you. This is, quote, why they did this. We believe these changes will allow us to reduce the growth challenges of the current program. To me, that says they made it too easy and they overbooked it. And the people who had achieved high status were unable to get those things that were given to them or that they had earned, not given to them, they earned it by being loyal, and they weren't able to get them and they were complaining. So I'm sure that those people like platinum level, if that's what it is, were complaining that they weren't able to get maybe the room upgrades that they were guaranteed and the other things. So the answer to that was to cut them off and say, you can't be platinum anymore after yeah, we're going to give you 6 years, but then you got to spend $33,000 a year, or every 2 years after that.
It seems a little drastic.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The message seems mixed. In the 12 months, I mean, I would love to hear from you if you've done Carnival. I'd love to hear what we're missing. I know we've talked in the past about going ahead and trying them again.
Not until this is done.
It's been 20 years. But I definitely want to see where this goes in 12 months. Do they take a step back? Do they try to walk it back some? Maybe I honestly, in my opinion, and obviously they don't listen to me, but I think the best thing for all people is to say, we guaranteed that once you achieve status in the old program, you could keep it for a lifetime. Now they said that, a lifetime. So let them keep it. If you want to achieve the next step, you got to play by the current rules. Maybe even say if you go dormant for a certain amount of time, you don't use this for 2 years, it expires, and you got to start all over again. I mean, that's going to encourage people to want to sail. If they want to sail with you, if they wanted to get that status to begin with, and you say, hey, you got to do like one sailing every 24 months, whatever, to remain active. or your membership cancels. That keeps your rolls clean, keeps your numbers down, treats the people who achieved under you earlier correctly. If they want to go up, they got to do what everybody else does. And everybody coming in new to the program, they just start over. They don't know any different. So let's see what they do. Hope they do the right thing. John, keep up the good work. And again, I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Reach out and let me know if I did. Along with missteps, Southwest is in the news again, but for a good reason, I think, this time. Selection of seats starts soon on certain aircraft, certain routes. I'm thrilled. I think we've been, I don't want to say the minority. I certainly heard from a lot of people who thought they should keep it. I believe all these are people with status. If you were like when I was a business traveler and you got that A+ status, and I mean, you're getting in the A group anyway. You're getting usually in the A1 through 30s. And if you're on a business plan, you probably bought your way up into the 1 through 15s. The only people getting on before you are the pre-boarders. And that's an entire conversation about how that's been abused. You're on before everybody, so why, it really is no different. Yeah. The challenges are when you got a late connection. You're in the A group, even if you're in 1 through 15, and they've already started boarding. So now you're back there in the back by the bathroom with everybody else who boarded in the C group and paid about 1/10 of the price you did.
I don't like charging for bags.
I think that was terrible, because now they're every other airline.
Yeah.
The reason it's rolling out the seat thing on only certain routes and certain aircraft.
Every flight was late because of people carrying on bags, and that's when the bags were free. Now, there are going to be so many more people carrying on their bags. The flights are never going to take off.
We didn't have an interesting experience, but we certainly watched some interesting things on Frontier.
Oh, yeah.
And they take it seriously. Yeah. And I applaud them for taking it seriously, because people are going to try to bend the rules. Mm-hmm. So you got to be out there enforcing the rules. So I'm all for that. Southwest, bags was terrible. Yeah, I never understood why people took bags on when they were free. Now that they cost money, I get it. I mean, $35 a bag, which is honestly regrettably cheap. You got Delta and them doing 50+ for a domestic. So carry-on bags, just delay boarding, and playing hunt for your seat. Delayed boarding as well. You get the one person on there who bought the big ticket, or they got early boarding, which didn't always get you anything like it didn't for us in Puerto Vallarta last time when we were bussed out on the tarmac and wound up being the last people on the plane, even though we paid extra. But we'd always see that there's always that one person who bought the expensive ticket, the rest of the family bought the cheap ticket. They're in the C group and they're holding an entire row, both sides of the aircraft, right. And sometimes the seats behind them.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. And some people confronted them, and I mean, air travel's bad enough. You want to avoid those nobody wants to see those confrontations because they escalate. They get just delays. When the airport police have to board the plane and remove somebody, you're just later. It's just later. So Southwest, kudos on that. They are literally retrofitting all their aircraft, because now they're going to have the standard seating. And then the costing seating, more leg room, and then the uppers.
It's all about money.
It's all about the
going. Why couldn't they just leave the seats? They're already numbered and lettered.
They had numbers on their seats. Maybe they did. Maybe some aircraft. Maybe the newer ones did. Maybe
they did.
800s or something did.
Yeah.
We'll see. We may fly them in July. We did not pick our seats because we bought those tickets prior to the 28th of May. So I think what will happen is we won't have to pay for bags because we bought those tickets prior to the 28th. After the 28th, any tickets did not come included with bags. You have to pay extra. If they retrofit the plane on that flight, I would guess we'll get notice and pick a seat. Otherwise, until the planes are retrofitted and have the leg room sections and all that, it'll just be Hunger Games free-for-all as it's always been. And then eventually they'll get the whole fleet outfitted, and then everybody will pick a seat, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I am too.
And if you want to, again, it's no different than anybody else. And when you buy your ticket, you get to pick probably a seat at no cost towards the back. You want exit row, which is more leg room, more money. You want front of the plane to get off faster, more money than that. So it's not new. Everybody's doing it. All right. So Frontier, they're part of this. They were always with Allegiant. They were one of the original nickel and dimers. Now everybody's doing it. One of the big things on there is trying to pack to carry your bag, so you just don't carry on. A couple of things we found out. So we went to Vegas on the Go Wild Pass. So the Go Wild Pass, to remind you, is that you're basically paying taxes, which is very similar to the Southwest Pass that we used for a year. Yeah, the Companion Pass, sorry. So the Companion Pass is just taxes. On the way out, because right now Frontier's running a deal where you can book early, but you pay a little bit more. So if you want to make sure you're getting a seat and you want to book a week in advance, all through August. So you can do that a week in advance, cost you a little bit more. First flight, we're going from CBG to Atlanta to Las Vegas, because Atlanta, the busiest airport in the world. If you didn't know that, the very first time I heard it, surprised me. When you think about busy airports, JFK, LAX, the big names. But Atlanta has been the busiest airport in the world for 24 of the 25 years it's existed. So we wind up buying 2 days out, $60 a ticket. Not bad. Retail price on other airlines, Southwest I compared, 2 days out, $4.99, right? Last minute flight, 99% of all airline tickets, the further out you buy, the sweet spot moves, but typically considered to be a month to 2 weeks, depending upon the airline. The closer in you get, the more you're going to pay. Those last minute fee tickets are huge.
This was for Father's Day weekend.
Father's Day weekend. We looked at going to a lot of different places. We thought about doing Jamaica, but we decided we're going to try domestic for the first time. So $60, and here's what I found that's interesting. The ticket can, if you buy it within 24 hours or the day, or like the morning of, $15. That's the tax and fees, $15. But what does that come with? Nothing. You get a personal item. So folks, that's everything. Ladies, that's your purse. Guys, if you're wearing a sling bag, that's that. No,
not even a backpack.
Not even a backpack. Those are not, those are all considered personal items, and you can only have one. So here's the thing. You buy that $15 ticket, but then you want to cancel it. If you want to cancel it, $99. That's their standard cancellation fee, $99. Why would you pay $99 to get a $15 credit back? You wouldn't, right? You would let the $15 go. So the next bundle up, the economy bundle. So they have 4 bundles. There's standard, economy bundle, premium bundle, and business class. Business class, quite honestly, same price as every other airline. You get a lot of extras with it, don't get me wrong, but it's that $400 ticket. Premium, you're gonna get everything I wanna talk about in economy, but you get extra leg room. Economy bundle, pick your seat, personal item, and a carry-on. So now we're talking about purse or backpack and a carry-on bag. You're under 24 inches or smaller. And this is what I thought was the most important part. I really did think picking the seat was important. But if it's a short flight, we paid extra at Southwest that time and set apart. Free cancellations. So if you have to cancel the flight, which in the end, in this story we did, or in the middle, I guess, of the story we did, you just get that as a flight credit to use some other time. On average, it costs $20 more. So the total price for each of our tickets with the economy bundle was $60. I think that's a great deal. And the flexibility about getting the carry-on is really great. So in an effort to try and do this one bag thing that other people have done, I have a sling bag, which I put in my luggage. You have your larger bag, which you carry a lot of stuff in. We each have a 22-inch under-seater. We've always had that. And I've traveled with it before. I don't know, you've traveled with yours, but I think maybe you put it above.
Only for weekend trips. Okay. I haven't tried to do anything longer.
So again, remember, this is considered to be, even though it will fit under the seat, we could technically use these 22 inches as our personal, as long as they fit under the seat. I don't know who's going to pay attention if you put it above, but that's the rule. It's supposed to fit under your seat. They'll fit under the seat. Now, not a 24-inch. I'm sorry, that's the standard carry-on. 22 inch, a little bit smaller. So good to know. I think we were able to, it turned out to be 4 days. Started out as 3 days. Everything I think we wanted to fit into it without a problem. And I think it was successful. Now we just bought,
you're not checking it, so
right.
You have to think about what you're packing.
Well,
true. You got to take it through security. I'm used to just throwing everything in my suitcase, checking the bag, and not worrying about how many ounces and stuff. So I've had to rethink how I pack.
And you had to go through regular security, didn't you?
Did.
Yeah, so 2 times. So we were in Cincinnati. We saw that even though the counter agent saw.
My known traveler.
Your known travel agent, which for us is our global entry, which comes with TSA pre. It was in there. It was saved to the system. The system stamped my boarding pass, but not yours. The counter agent in Cincinnati got it to work, printed you out a new boarding pass, you were good. Later on in the story, and she could not get it to work, and you had to go through the regular security. Did you have anything in your bag? They made you take everything out, yeah? Or at least some things?
No, they didn't make me take everything out, but I had to do the whole take off my shoes and stuff like that. So you wouldn't think just taking off your shoes are that big a deal, but when you haven't had to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm on record, and I've had this happen to me in San Jose and some other places where the TSA pre-line's a little long because, honestly, I think it's oversold. TSA, go to a wait list. Nobody else can come on until somebody leaves. There's too many of us. I've had them come up to me and say, hey, this regular security line's shorter. Come over here. I'm like, no, I'll stay here. I'll wait an extra 5 or 10 minutes instead of undressing. So, yeah, that's the thing. So I think that's a tip right there. So if you're going to fly Frontier, I think that you're going to benefit by buying the economy bundle. It's not that expensive extra. It is an extra. I get it. Maybe you think, I'm going to give them the bare minimum. Well, you're going to have to fly with the bare minimum. For just a little bit more, you're going to get almost all the convenience you do of flying a regular airline as far as what you get to carry on, and it works out great.
And you're still way under.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get out of CVG, no big issues. Boarding process is a little different.
It was pretty smooth.
It's pretty smooth. So I hear this complaint all the time on the different Facebook groups about Frontier. They forget to call the people with status, or they have a board early thing, kind of like Southwest Early Bird, where you can board early, but they forget to call it. And several people point out that you got to remind the gate agents, because what they'll do is they'll call boarding group 1 right away.
Zone 1.
Zone 1.
So here, This is what I noticed. Nobody checked bags. So everybody had carry-ons and bin space is limited. They say zone 1 and it truly is Hunger Games. They come swarming and fighting to get on, not because they want to pick a seat, but because they want to make sure they get bin space.
I agree. And I think we definitely see that with Southwest. But I do think I saw on the good side of Frontier travelers.
At least Southwest did it by numbers.
Well, yeah.
But here, I mean, everybody just...
But I didn't notice anybody, at least in the early groups, because that's another thing Economy Bundle gets you, is you're in Zone 1. So you're going to be the first ones on the plane. You just there are no poles to stand next to, so you got to kind of like wedge your way up there. People, just like on Southwest, people start crowding around. So that's just a thing of all travelers. But I saw a lot of people early on get on the plane. You got a seat. You're going to sit in the seat if you're in Zone 1. You theoretically have the bin space above your seat. And early on you saw that. But then as they came on later, people were just sticking them wherever they could find them because they felt like if they got all the way to the back where they have to sit, there'd be no space.
Ones in the back are taken up by the flight crew.
That's true. That's different about Frontier.
So if you are sitting in back, you have nowhere for your bags.
Yeah, so Frontier is flying a single plane like Southwest. That's where all their emergency stuff goes. On Frontier, they utilize the last 3 on either side above those seats. So another tip, if you're on Frontier Airlines sitting behind row 26, I think, no bin space back there. Get your bin early because those are help for crew. So we get to Atlanta and we got a 7-hour layover. We knew that going in. Turns out 7+ hour layovers in Atlanta, not uncommon. Search the internet, things to do in Atlanta on a long layover, and the number of articles and videos about what to do with 8 hours plus, pretty amazing. So all airlines doing that.
And if it hadn't been raining, we might have left.
Yeah, you can. It's one of those airports that you can grab the train right outside baggage. Now you got to go back through security when you come in, but you got 7-8 hours. And that will take you right down to Peachtree District, which is a big shopping and entertainment food district in the heart of Atlanta. So that'll take you right there. It really is very convenient. It reminds me a lot of Minneapolis. You can take the train right out of Minneapolis, right downtown. I think you can maybe even make it to the Mall of America from there. So definitely trips in the future back to Atlanta, lots to do, but 7 hours into a lot longer. Yeah, so multiple delays. All the delays said to allow late arriving aircraft. At midnight, at the overdue by 4 hours mark, they canceled it. So if you rebook, they theoretically should get you a hotel. They didn't make an offer and we didn't take it. But there were no meal vouchers because they weren't required to.
Because of weather.
Right, so that's the key.
Yeah, it's because of weather. It is out of their control.
So we're talking about long delays, but Friday the 13th.
Yeah, there was the problem. Friday.
Over 1,800 delays and cancellations throughout the system, throughout the airline system on all airlines. As typical as it's been here recently, the storms were particularly violent and they couldn't fly. So it wasn't just Frontier. When they canceled our flight and we're going back up front because you got to get to the counter, it looked like somebody had pulled the fire alarm there at Atlanta because all these people were heading to the front doors. They were heading to the counter of their airline to find out what to do.
I mean, like you said, it was weather. You can't control the weather. There were a lot of very mad people, but you cannot control the weather. You just make the best.
Much like poor John, overly mad people.
Yes.
Now, I was a little upset because I think they handled it poorly. I think they need more training.
Their information was
the entire time.
Communication.
It was unclear from moment to moment which was more reliable. The text message you may or may not have gotten. The email you may or may have not gotten. Definitely not the status board at the gate, because we had, I think, total throughout the trip, 6 gate changes.
And I would get a text saying that it was delayed to such and such time or the gate changed. But then you would get an email that said something completely different.
Yeah.
So we didn't know which one was
Frontier.
correct.
You got to clean that up. That's terrible. When we hit the counter to try and rebook, there were 3 agents down there. I can't remember why she couldn't deal with us directly and she had to call somebody, right? Mm-hmm. She had to call somebody to have another agent. So basically, you're looking at support, who has to call support. That's not a good thing, Frontier. So your support people should not be having to call other support people to get jobs done.
And it had something to do with a connection.
Yeah, something to do with the connections. She was collecting the information from people that need to be called. But then she was walking the line of people handing out cards with QR codes that you could request a refund for.
So then she was never coming back to make those phone calls.
When we walk up, she says it's going to be 20 to 25 minutes. At 40 minutes, she's still walking the line. I'm having to chase her down. And then, and this is not cool either, they're making the phone calls on the agent's personal phone. So they're pulling out their personal cells. Give your people a phone at the desk to call you. I mean, if your agent has to rely on support to get something done, you got to give them a business phone. They can't be using their personal phones to make that call. That's ridiculous. I mean, come on.
Then they put them on hold.
Then they put their own people on hold.
And didn't pick up.
Now, I'll say this. When they did get a hold of somebody and she started getting the information, that girl on the phone, because she had it on speakerphone, she was knocking them out. Because she read the wrong... Because we had bought a ticket back to Cincinnati.
Yeah, we thought we were going to have to ditch the whole weekend.
We were all going to ditch the whole weekend. When they offered to rebook it, you convinced me, let's just go ahead. So we took the rebook. But that I hadn't canceled the other one yet. So she pulled that number. And she confusingly gave it to the agent and said, it's all good. But then she prints out the boarding pass and the second leg's not there. So she had to go back to her and tell her that. But she was knocking it out.
Yeah.
But that ability to knock it out should have been at level 1, not level 2. Can do some better things there. So we go and we get an Uber. I get a hotel, standing there in line because we were there till they canceled at about 11:15, 11:30. 12:30, we're still at the desk waiting to get out. We get out a little bit after that. Uber down to the hotel, close to the airport. Didn't know it at the time, but I wasn't running at that hour. But the next morning, the hotel had a shuttle, but we still didn't take it because it was one of those shuttles that goes to 3 close by hotels. You never know. Because there's everybody who's canceled. When we're checking in, there are people that are, do you have a Delta voucher? No, I booked directly. Oh, okay. So everybody's coming in from airlines who did give them hotel vouchers. So they're all going to leave the next morning, and you just don't know how much room the shuttle's got. And you don't want to wait for the second trip. So we call another Uber. Not bad, like $15 each way. Not bad. And folks, if you book with us, you're going to hear us talk about trip insurance. And a lot of people think it's just an add-on you're never going to use. And you know what? And we did too, for years and years, until you got sick before going to Greece. We bought our annual trip insurance there that covers now on all trips. So hotel, Ubers, I file a claim within 24 hours. I got my money back today. So the money we spent for the hotel, the money we spent on the Ubers, I mean, there's no money for inconvenience, but we got all that money we were out of pocket back. It is absolutely worthwhile. So the next day, we're back in Atlanta, and we fly to Cleveland.
Basically, we almost came back home.
We were 3 hours from home, absolutely. Yeah. We actually had the option, we were looking at it, of driving to Cleveland, getting a direct flight, but there is a direct flight coming back, but where our car will be in Cleveland. So we could rent a car, but that's an extra $100. So Cleveland, we get 1 delay.
Is it just one?
1 delay and 3 gate changes, because remember, we went down, back, down. So we go from Cleveland to Vegas, and we get there like 11:30 at night, based on the delay.
Luckily,
but it's Vegas.
Everything's still open.
So we catch an Uber, straight to the hotel, the Plaza. We'll talk about the Plaza, and we're good. And so we're there.
Down, do some gambling.
A little bit Saturday, do a little gambling, get a drink. So Sunday, I book the direct flights, Las Vegas to Cincinnati, on Monday, and it was $15. But I got the economy bundle, so it was $35 each. $35 for a ticket for each of us. Direct flight back here. No worries. I think there was a little bit of delay. There was a gate change. But then we kind of saw the
Luckily, we had the ability to shift it a day. We were going to spend Saturday and Sunday, but we had the ability to do Sunday and Monday.
And I think flexibility is the key.
And that's the thing. Go wild. You have to be 100%. Flexible.
Folks, if you have to be somewhere,
to pay for the ticket.
Well, at least a backup ticket. If you're going to buy the Go Wild, fine. Buy a backup refundable ticket so that you have an option. Because if you have to be somewhere, honestly, flying any airline today is probably not the thing. Don't go there. Folks, you should never take an airplane to a cruise port the day of your departure. You should always go the day before. So Vegas, they announced in Vegas, every boarding situation was a little bit different, but Vegas was tight.
Yeah.
They had it together. They had a guy out front because they announced in Vegas, we're checking every bag.
Yeah.
If we think your bag is over, it's going on the sizer. Frontier will tell you, look, if you even think it's oversized, buy it early. It might cost you $35, but if you come to this gate and you don't fit, it's going to cost you $99 to get on this plane. Mm-hmm. We saw a woman stuff her bag into the personal sizer.
She almost stood on it and stuffed it.
I saw a video where that happened. But she stuffs it in, and she can't get it out. Stuck in the personal sizer. And
but she got it in.
She did, and we began boarding. Mm-hmm. And I asked the gentleman who was there controlling things, I'm like, well, I was going to ask if anybody ever got stuck, but she just answered. And he's like, people have left their bag there.
To go wild.
So we get on the plane, and they immediately deplane us. Because there's a situation that they either didn't have AC or they said they needed to shut down the AC, but the jetway was not air conditioned the first time down. You commented on how hot it was. The second time down it was. So they take us, they said it's going to be 30 minutes. They deplane us.
No, and remember this was in Vegas where it was 112 degrees.
112 degrees, and on that tarmac, it's probably 120 plus.
Yeah.
You do not want to be sitting in a metal tube with no air conditioning.
I was okay getting
And we were on there for a little bit. And as we're getting off, Frontier people deplane whether you're at your destination or otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Some people never moved. And I commented to the flight crew as we stepped off the plane, I thought the message was fine, but there's some people back there who think it's optional. Because, folks, the longer you stay on the plane, that half hour becomes 40 minutes, becomes an hour. Get off the plane. But when we landed, like everybody talks about people when you land, people standing up and getting their luggage. Sometimes people just want to stretch. But I have never, in all my travels, seen people from the back of the plane, as soon as you touch down, the bell goes off and you can get up, start walking up the aisle in front of everybody. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of understood.
The whole zipper, yeah.
But isn't it kind of understood, airline etiquette, if that's a thing, that you wait until the row in front of you and then you move out?
They could be people that
never
don't have
before?
a lot. Well, at least not often.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't have much experience.
Maybe. So the flight back, not bad. You know, slight delay. The 30 minutes was pretty tight. They got whatever they said they were going to get. You know, thankfully they got it done. I didn't want to sit on a non-air conditioned plane. That would have been terrible. So overall, I think, I don't know, what's your overall impressions first time of Frontier?
I mean, they were not great this trip, but a lot of it was out of their control, so I may be blaming them too much. I'm trying to not put all the blame on them, but it's the only time I've ever been on it, so I don't know what else to do.
I'm going to give them an A for price. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give them a B for controlling their boarding areas, you know, decently, because people will take advantage when they can. A flat F for communications.
Yeah.
F. Fix that.
I think apps should be the most important.
I agree, because we're using our apps because that's where they want you to use the phone. Take a picture of it in case you can't get a signal or whatever. But yeah, the app should be number one.
Well, let's talk about the plaza.
Yeah, let's talk about the plaza. So big reviews on the plaza going in. First of all, if you don't know, the plaza is at the front of Fremont Street, Old Vegas. But it's changed a lot since we were last there.
Whole lot.
Outside the Bellagio and some of the others, you can't look at the price of a hotel room in Vegas like you would somewhere else. They're going to be cheap. They want to get you there. They don't make their money on the hotel, right? They don't really make their money on the food for the most part. Although on Fremont, you can still get a $12.95 lobster and steak dinner. When we were last there, and that was about 10 years ago, it was $4.95. So that's increased a little bit. You only get that on Fremont.
Right.
They had two deals they were running. Now, one's been really talked about, and that's the all-inclusive. They're the only all-inclusive in all of Vegas. And then there's the Viva 25. These both run through the summer. So the all-inclusive is going to get you free drinks from 2 bars, 2 meal vouchers per day from select restaurants, and a couple of other things. Nothing really big. Viva 25 got you $25 to spend in a restaurant, $25 free gamble, which paid off well for us. Sometimes it doesn't always, but it's free money, so who cares? And I thought it was a better deal because when I looked at some of the reviews,
I mean, it's Vegas. As long as you're actively playing, you're going to drink for free anyway.
I saw people using the all-inclusive, and they were going to the pizza place, Pizza to Go, where 2 slices of pizza and a drink was like $12. They were going to
Oscars.
Well, yes, but there's no real discount on Oscars. You just get $25 off. And there was the Mexican place they went to. You get 3 tacos. The point is the meals that they were getting with the all-inclusive were basically $12 to $15 each. When the cost difference over a hotel room by itself or a hotel room with all-inclusive is like $100. It just didn't add up for me. Maybe there might be circumstances, and I think the big one for us was the 2 bars you could go to were in the casino. The pool bar, not covered. So we knew we were going to spend time at the pool. So any drinks we did out there were not going to be covered. So we didn't. We went for the Viva 25. I highly recommend it. We did use the $25. It didn't actually get used where we thought it got used. Oh, it actually got used at the outdoor bar.
Right.
And they took it. I didn't think when they first presented
because really they just put $25
Yeah,
on
they just take it off something. Yeah, I just didn't think it was good with alcohol. So you could get a 5 bucket of beer for $30. 35 for craft. We got 30 for domestic, and we got Lot and Google, and I think one time we got Mexican Pacifica. So we got, and then the second time we just got straight Lot and Google. Great pool deck. I love the pool deck. Now there's a big unshaded area, and then they've got an area that's really shaded. It's on top. Well, it's actually not on top of it. It's on the 6th floor, and you can look over at Fremont. I think the Viva was great. So it's Hash House A Go-Go. I got to talk about that because the other places are just like, yeah, they're good. Pizza's good, right? Big, greasy slice. Perfect if you've been drinking. Like, who doesn't need some grease when you've been drinking? That's the old wives' tale. We went there for both breakfasts. You need one breakfast. We're talking 14-inch pancake to cover the whole plate, a side order of biscuits and gravy.
That's one biscuit.
Big biscuit.
I mean,
big thing of gravy. Folks, unless you're a big healthy eater, or not healthy either, but unless you're just a huge eater.
It's nothing healthy.
I don't see how you could eat individual meals. We could have done it. We split both meals. I had no problems with splitting the meal each day. I had plenty. I think we still left pancake. One server told us they actually reduced the size of the pancake from 16 inches and hung off the plate to 14, which is still gigantic. And it's a single pancake, but it's huge. Fresh a go-go right there. And so it's franchised a couple of places around the country, mainly I think on the West Coast, right there inside the plaza, right inside the front door. Great things. But right inside the front door, you can't stop and not talk about Pink Box Donuts.
Oh.
You got to talk about Pink Box Donuts.
Well,
not a meal, folks, but it's never not full. There's always people there.
No, I don't think, no matter what time of day or night, because they're open all night.
24/7.
I mean, there was always at least 15 people in line.
Yep.
And they were so good. We had a donut every night before bed. And
yeah, that's probably not good.
Well, but it's Vegas. What happens there?
True. Oh, I just let it out.
What?
I just let it out. It didn't say that.
And then they have, should I just say
They have designer. They have themed donuts.
So I brought home 2 poop shape.
Okay, think about poo emoji. The poop emoji. Okay, that's what it looks like. But it's,
It was
3D.
a donut. And I had them box it up. It went on the airplane. It flew all the way home to Cincinnati, and our granddaughters loved them.
All on you, because I said it.
He did not think they would make it home.
Do it. I mean, honestly, first of all,
and they got home and they were still in good shape.
right. I mean, it was a solid like frosting. It wasn't like a glaze, so it was like a hard cover shell. So it withstood any temperature variations. I
put it in the floor.
Got to put it
underneath the seat for the airplane, and carried it around the airport.
And it was, and we had a little bit. They were here when they ate it. So it was a cake donut with like marshmallow filling.
Yeah.
And then the chocolate all around it.
Looked just like the emoji.
24 plus hours later.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, it was still good. We made it home. They packed it very nicely. I had them put stuff in to kind of make it move around.
Hash House, Pink Box, doing it good. The headliner of the restaurants at the plaza, and it always has been this way, is Oscar's. Oscar's, old school restaurant, old Vegas style. In fact, it is named after, I believe his name is Oscar Goldman. He was the former mayor of Las Vegas, and before he was mayor, he was a mob attorney. He was known for having press conferences while drinking wild turkey. And actually, in the movie Goodfellas, there is a scene with Robert De Niro and a couple of cast members in this circular part of the restaurant that has a great view. And you could look down onto Fremont Street, and you could see you can just watch all the activities. Oscar's has a 5 to 7 happy hour, and meatballs. I thought the shrimp, it was $5 per shrimp. We didn't go for that. We saw some people did, but we got meatballs and
French fries with
big thing of French fries.
Parmesan on top, and I just got.
So they're all like under $10. You got a salad. They're all like under $10. The meatballs, 2 of them, gigantic. Steakhouse quality fries with Parmesan on top. You had a good sized salad for a happy hour. It was easily a meal. Oscar's is very much the $50 steak and then all the sides are family style. So you could easily drop a couple hundred in Oscar's. But as far as a luxurious experience, Oscar's is a place to eat. But even to drop in for happy hour, it was a wait, and we were able to get 2 spots at the bar. I think you asked somebody to move, didn't you?
No, a lady just scooted down to give us more room.
You've been known to do that.
I have been. But I recommend sitting at the bar because it seems like nobody in Vegas is from Vegas.
Sure.
So you sit at the bar, you talk to the bartender, and they're always from someplace else. She was from Tennessee.
That's right, outside of Nashville.
Yeah, and of course it's nice to talk to them because they all come from someplace else, and they tell you what it was like moving to Vegas.
Yeah, hot. It was hot. Yeah. Always hot. So about the casino at the plaza. So the plaza has a reputation of being loose games. And, a lot of people don't know what loose games means. So there is a law in all casinos, in all states that have casinos, that there has to be a certain amount of RTP, return to player, which means the machines have to pay off at a certain amount if they pay at 95%, so they got to pay $95 out for every $100 taken in. It doesn't mean you're going to be a winner, but somebody's going to be a winner. So the plaza is known for being even more so. They do our favorite game, and that's video poker. And they will admit to being 105% payoff. Now, I know the first thing people are thinking about is, no one's doing that. Why in the world would they pay 105% when that means they're giving out more than taking in? But here's the thing, and this is what Vegas does very well in the customer service area, nobody else does. Vegas understands that volume beats margin. They understand that if they make your experience good, if you're winning, what are you more likely to do?
Keep playing.
Keep playing, and you're gonna make bigger bets. Now, they may pay 105%, they may pay 95%. It doesn't mean you're gonna win.
Tell them what I got.
They want you to play back.
Tell them what I got.
Roll straight flush, straight flush. And so we went through that, like you were up, I was down, I was up, you were down. And we turned that $25 that we took to the roulette wheel. I don't think you really kind of got the concept of roulette. Maybe your first time in a long time playing. I thought you were just stacking too many chips. You weren't spreading them out enough, but you should play it to whatever you're fun. That's what's important. So I turned the 25 into 50 right there. We walked away from there. I wound up turning the 50 into 200. We walked home with 200.
Now, the one thing I did notice about the plaza, the people coming around to the table games with drinks, people were complaining it was taking a little longer. But now, I mean, it maybe wasn't taking that long. Some people just have different expectations, right? But if you're sitting playing video poker at the bar,
I think that's the key.
Yeah, I mean, they were.
I like table games. I like blackjack.
And again, we got to talk to the bartenders.
Yep.
I think maybe we just like to
He put me on to a good whiskey.
Yeah. It was Irish.
Irish whiskey. What we would typically term well drinks when you're playing is free. And as far as the bartenders are concerned, that just means that you put money in the machine.
Green light was lit.
There's a light on the back of it that tells them that you have money in, and that's their go-ahead to give you free drinks.
It could be 25 cents, but that light is lit up, they're bringing you drinks.
But if you're at, not only that, but if you're at a table game, the game is moving whether you're ready to move or not, right? They're not going to wait on you for the most part. But you could sit at a video poker game, put your money in, have a conversation, never spin the wheel for the longest time, get your free drink, hit the button, cash out the money you put in, it would be the exact same amount, and walk away. Now, all you have to do at the end, though, is if you didn't want to spend any money, you take that paper receipt to the cashier, they're going to give you your $20 back, you got a free drink. You could literally do that. The people that were complaining that I saw were saying to the pit boss that got called over, we were there, no one's giving us any drink. Well, why don't you stay one place? Yeah. Because the thing about playing the table games, the cocktail hostess, she's going to come get your order. She's going to hit everybody else who's playing on the table games and the slot machines. Going to go get her all her orders. She's going to come back. Even in a casino with lots of hostesses, you may see her every 15, 20 minutes, maybe longer. The bar's always going to be faster. Now, the bartender sometimes will have to step away, deal with other people at the bar.
I feel like he comes back.
He does. He's got less space to travel. He may have to go to the end and make all the hostess drinks, but I guarantee it ain't going to take him 15 minutes. And he's going to come back within 5 or 10 minutes, and he's going to get you more drinks if that's what you want. He's going to check in because he's got less territory to cover. And often, there's more than one of them behind that same area. So that's another tip to the bar.
Vegas is the only place you drink for free while you play.
New Orleans.
Do you?
Yep, did it in New Orleans. Okay. They have a casino right at the cruise port. You play for free there. I think Atlantic City. We've never been there.
Didn't know that. Well, let's talk about Fremont Street. It's been a long time since we had been there.
They've added a lot. So the last time we were on Fremont, the digital board was over the street. So if you don't know, Fremont is fully covered. So if it ever rains, and we've been there when it snowed, if it ever snows or rains in Vegas, if you're on Fremont, you're not going to get wet because it's covered. The 3-block long cover is one gigantic LED screen. Actually multiples because different sections show the same thing. That was all that was there. Now there are zip lines that go across the top of the canopy, just underneath the canopy. Vegas has always been known for having some interesting performers. There was always the people who snap the little brochures on the main strip. Right, on the strip, trying to get you to go to the various clubs. Fremont has performers as well, but the key now is they have to stay in that little circle.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, there's a little circle on the ground.
And they have signs up saying that they can't demand money from you.
Well, that was actually about the costume performers. So like down in New York, you got your Spider-Man and if you take a picture with him, he's going to demand money. Same thing out in LA on the Walk of Fame. And they got the big signs that Fremont has put up that says they're not employees of Fremont. You don't have to pay them anything. Right. So that's good. I think that I think there's some hassling going on in the past. Yeah. There are 4 live music stages. I've
had people tell me since we get back, didn't you feel unsafe walking down Fremont?
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, like any touristy place, there are things that you need to do to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
You had that thing on, and I had you move the buckle so the buckle wasn't in the back where somebody could just come up and snap it. But just use judgment. And
you got to pay attention to your surroundings. When we were leaving Fremont, and there was the performer, the guy who was being a statue, and I thought he was doing a great job. And he had a cool costume, and that It was like stiffened out in the back, like he was trying to walk through a head breeze, and it was real strong. And I pulled out some money to give it to him. And
you pulled out all your money.
Well, it was all together. I didn't have it separated. That's probably something you shouldn't do. But either way, you picked it up, and I was aware of my surroundings too. And I saw the guy see me and kind of piqued his attention. He had my attention. He had your attention. That's really what you got to do. You got to be aware of what's going on around you.
I'm glad we went.
We
almost went home.
I agree.
I had to talk you into it.
It wasn't a big talk, but you definitely had to convince me. In looking back, I'd probably get the rental car or do our car and just do both trips to Cleveland and then just drive our car back. Because those are direct flights. I think Vegas is definitely on our itinerary again for a short weekend. All right, let's talk real quickly about deals and updates you're going to see on the site. So, folks, pretty much the summer deals are over. We are still posting stuff. Obviously, there's all kinds of deals up there every day. But if you haven't gotten that summer trip for the family yet, you probably just need to message us and let us search for you. Especially in the cruise lines, the deals are kind of minimal right now.
Now you're looking at Halloween and Christmas.
Halloween, fall, Christmas, in 2026 up until really probably summer of spring break 2026, great time to buy. Anything you're buying up in through that period right now, there's some great savings. We've seen some really good pricing in the Christmas area right now. Disney's down to 10% now on their deposit. Great time to take advantage. Let us do the planning for you. Watch for flash sales. There's definitely some of those, but they're limited. You know, make sure you're checking Facebook. Land-based trips to the Caribbean and Mexico right now, always super affordable, even more affordable right now. But they're getting a list less so because a lot of people going there. So let me ask you about that. We're going to Cancun in July. What's your thoughts about traveling internationally right now? Are you worried about it? Do you feel extra stressed right now traveling outside the U.S.? Do you think there's stress about getting back into the U.S. to travel so much? Let us know your thoughts on any of the things we talked about in the comments. We'll see you again on Book, Pack, and Go.
Meet Steve and Lora, the wandering empty nesters. This is Book, Pack, Go, your inside look at real adventures, smart travel tips, and how to wander better. One trip at a time. Let's go.